Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I am Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Authentic Achievements, and we are going to hear from the star of our show about how she actually created Authentic Achievements. It's a platform in and of itself, and what it stands for, and how you can get involved, what it can mean to you. Let's welcome Kim-adele Randall joining us from the United Kingdom. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Jacqueline.
So lovely to see you today.
And you. It's always such a delight to catch back up. And I always learn so much listening to the shows that you provide. So thank you for letting me be on one of them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those who don't know, Kim-adele Randall is here the first Friday of every month. So it's lovely. What have you been up to since we saw you last?
It's been a really interesting month. And I love that this is kind of almost the title of the show. It's been a real journey back to authentically being you. And I think that's a journey that we're all on every day of our lives. And as the world continues to evolve, we find something else that we need to go back, address and reframe. And the last month has been a lot of that, which has been really, really interesting and inspiring.
Well, you seem quite excited about it, which we love to hear more, because when there is change, many times people get upset. They get so tunnel vision focused and they can't see the world around them. And sometimes it really does a number on people's self-esteem and confidence. So tell us about your quest and your journey to create Authentic Achievements and what it means.
Oh, thank you. So I set Authentic Achievements up nearly 4 years ago now. And it really was part of my almost 6-year journey to really come back to myself, to understand kind of who I was, what I was, and what I was here to do in the world. And I'd spent, as many people that have perhaps seen the show before know, I'd spent many years really doubting myself. And even though outwardly I appeared to be very successful, I had really good jobs, inwardly I felt like such a massive imposter, and I didn't see any value that I had in myself. And I spent a lot of time wearing a mask. And for me, that was one of the reasons why I decided to go for Authentic Achievements. It was about that journey back to being authentically me, whoever that is, and therefore being able to be proud of that and own it. And I think if I think about the last month, a lot of that has been really owning accountability to myself. So I had a massive dawning realization that and it was devastating, if I'm honest, at the time, in that I'd spent all these years coming up with statements that I decided everybody else was thinking. So I wouldn't do things for fear of upsetting people, or for fear that they would judge me badly, or for fear that they would criticize what I was doing, or any of those things. And then I realized that all these statements that I'd made up, that I then put on this unknown outward people that probably aren't thinking about them at all, because they're probably busy worrying about themselves and how they show up and what they're doing in the world. And so my devastating realization was that all the things I've been fearful of all these years are actually my own opinions of myself. And whilst that was devastating on one hand, it was liberating on another, because if it is just my opinions of myself I'm projecting out onto others, the only opinion in the world that I actually have control over is mine. So if I don't like my opinion of me, then I need to make changes to enable me to like the opinion of me by showing up differently. And so it's been it feels like it's been a real breakthrough moment for me.
Wow, huge insights there, and so courageous of you to share that with us. Thank you.
No, thank you for letting me. And I guess my other part of being authentically myself is I'm currently at the end of my 8th day of not wearing makeup and growing out my dyed hair, and just relaxing back into genuinely showing up in the world as me, as I am, warts and all.
Well, congratulations again. That is super exciting. And I think when we saw you last month, you talked about how you were starting a workout routine. So you really have made a number of changes. So, a question I have for you, because we've talked a lot about this on A Woman's Prerogative, when you talk about the makeup and about your hair, were you feeling when you were wearing makeup or when you were having your hair done that that really wasn't you? That's not what you wanted? That somebody else was orchestrating that?
No, it was definitely me, and I'm definitely going to go back to it. So this is not I'm never wearing makeup again, but it was more a case of being brave enough to show needing it. For me, that was the important thing that I was trying to achieve, was to say, actually, I don't need to have it. It doesn't define me. I'm therefore going to get to a place where I choose to have it, which would be even better. So it's more of a short-term piece around getting comfortable. I promise you, the first time I had to go anywhere without makeup on, even just on the school run, I convinced myself all the way there, all the way back. Everyone was judging me and finding the fact that a makeup-free 50-year-old woman is not what they want to look at. And nobody cared. Nobody probably thought anything at all. And nobody said anything. So it was about back to that. And you're right, it's back to that woman's prerogative. It's around that being comfortable with who you are and doing what feels right for you. And for me, this is just a short journey to go. I can then make a choice. I can go today. Do I want to wear makeup? Maybe, maybe not. But I can live with the choice. Whereas previously, I didn't feel I had that choice because I'd projected out this fear of what other people would see if they could see what I see in the morning when I get up and look in the mirror, which is this.
You look beautiful, Kim-adele. Absolutely beautiful. I understand what you're saying, though. That makes a lot of sense. When we become dependent upon something, then we can lose who we are, as opposed to making a choice about something and feeling comfortable with that choice.
Absolutely. And for me, it was one of those where I wanted to be able to prove to myself that I hadn't just done it once to tick the box to say that I could, and then gone, I did that, I don't need to do it again. Because it really has been part of my, I've totally changed my whole routine. So I now, every morning, I start my exercise routine. I've started to do journaling and visioning. I set aside half an hour every day to either read or listen to a book that's about development or growth, or just something that's interesting to me, something that I've been really uninteresting to everybody else, but it's my half an hour and I can choose to use it how I want. And I feel like I'm already growing in ways I didn't consider that I could.
So good to just continue being open to growth. I love that. And as you know, I'm 10 years older than you, and I'm still learning things about myself as well. It is a journey. And I think when we fight it, that's when we're really suffering. But when we're open to it, we don't know where it can go. And your quest for providing this platform, Authentic Achievements, for over 4 years is truly incredible. And I know you've interviewed a number of people. How many people would you say you've had on your platform, and what have been some of the takeaways?
Oh my goodness! Across the various series that we've done, of which only one of them is now branded as Authentic Achievements, I think I've had the privilege of interviewing over 100 people, and I've never failed to be inspired by the journey that they've been on and the courage that they've all had to be themselves and to take responsibility for the mistakes that they've made, because we all make mistakes. We're human beings. We're perfectly imperfect. And I guess for me, one of the key bits that's almost come unanimously through all of them is they've all made mistakes, but they've acknowledged those mistakes and they've learned from them. And they've then taken that learning and shared it with the world to give back. And I think I just live the most privileged life, being able to meet people and hear their journey. And they come from different backgrounds. They come from, different cultures, different things that have been important to them. And the humility they show in some of the achievements that they've made. When people tell you something, I remember one particularly lovely guest, as a good friend of mine, Isabel, and when I was asking her, what are you most proud of so far in your journey? And she very quietly, very humbly fed back that it was when the Dalai Lama turned up to thank her for the work that she'd done in Tibet. I was like totally blown away. I mean, what an amazing achievement. And yet she's one of the kindest, humblest people who has a huge heart and makes such a massive difference in the world, that you can't help but be inspired.
That is quite an achievement, that's for sure. How many people can say that? I know I can't. But you're right. It is a gift to be able to interview someone and have them share something. And many times, what we think is our Achilles heel or something that we're so embarrassed about is the greatest opportunity to inspire someone else, because there are definitely people out there going through whatever it is in some format, and we're all going through something. And I think sharing it really is courageous and is inspirational. And that's what it is that you do. And that's what we do here on this platform as well.
It's so true, because actually every one of us is going through something, and we never know what the other person's going through unless we ask. And getting courageous to ask people is amazing. I spent all this time deciding for myself what everybody else's opinion of me was, and then making it my reality. So that is what they think about me, instead of actually being courageous enough to ask them what they thought of me, and then live with whatever that comes by, because that's going to be how we grow. And the same when we go through something, when we've gone through a challenge, when we've had to overcome something, whatever that is that we've overcome, when we share that with somebody else, you don't know if they might be going through something similar. And you sharing how you went through it is going to give them either some inspiration or some actionable advice, or just some camaraderie that they're not the only person that's gone through this. Because that is often one of the things we tell ourselves. Nobody else would have been this daft to do this thing, or nobody else would have got themselves in this situation. And it's not true. For every situation any one of us is in the world, somebody else will have been in it as well.
Brilliant, Kim-adele. Thank you. Something else I want to bring up that I really admire you for is how you have had many conversations with complete strangers in various scenarios. And by doing that, it really can change someone's day. What I don't want to say struggle with, but I'll say struggle. When I go for my walks and I see people, I always say hello. And people be looking right at me and they say nothing. And I think, okay, I guess that they're having something going on with them. I'm not going to judge them. But you actually strike up conversations with people that are more than just surface level. And how has that gone for you? What have you taken away from it?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I'm probably the person nobody wants to sit next to on the train, because I just think actually, we're all here to connect. We're all here to socialize. And I remember being on a train once, and I looked across at the lady opposite me at the table, and she was clearly not having a good day. And I thought, well, I can do a couple of things. I can either put my head down in my laptop, because my laptop was open, I was working, and just crack on, or I can take a moment to just reach out and say something. And I can't even remember what inane thing I started off with. It's start the conversation, but I did. And all of a sudden, then, because I was asking a bit more about, have you got a busy day? What have you got planned? Are you doing? Where are you going? We ended up, it turned out we were both going to the same event location, albeit to different events. I was speaking at one event, she was attending a different event in the same exhibition hall. So we ended up getting the tube across London together. And we caught up again at the end of the day. She'd been really worried about a presentation that she had to deliver to her boss. So, and that had been what had been causing her so much stress, because she'd got herself into a place where she was locked in the self-doubt. And just being able to talk it through and kind of run through the fact that it was like, look, I don't know you and I don't know the subject, but you've explained it really well to me. And let me play back to you what I learned from our conversation. And she was like, oh my God, that was exactly the points I wanted to get across. I was like, sounds to me like you're going to nail it, Lively. Because if you can convince a complete stranger and they can understand it, you're going to be fine with somebody who gets it. And she said that was just what she needed to actually set her up for a good day. And we're still friends now. We still meet every now and again for coffee. And you just never know where one conversation is going to lead you. And you don't know what that positive impact is going to have on somebody's day. Just being able to, to go up to somebody and say, your hair looks great today, or you look amazing, you've got a great smile, whatever it is, it has to be genuine, it has to be authentic. But if you think it, say it. And the reason I suggest that is, it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable when you go up to somebody to tell them something that you've spotted in them, because they might not be interested in your opinion. They very well may not be. But what I found over the years is it's really helped me, one, get comfortable with the uncomfortable, because you put yourself in that moment and you suddenly realize that you survived them. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? They can go, and it's never happened yet, but they could probably turn around and go, well, why should I care what you think? Most people are just genuinely pleased that you've taken a moment to step out of your comfort zone and give them a compliment.
Yes. And when we say about compliments, we talk about this a lot on the power of etiquette and manners. Just say thank you.
Yeah.
Instead of giving excuses, oh, this old thing, oh, I hate this. I can't believe you said that. No, just say thank you, because you're given a gift of the compliment. And when you start making excuses, which I do a lot, you're actually taking the gift away from someone.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. I often chat to one of my friends, and she gave me some great advice once about compliments, because I wasn't very good at them. Like you, that's just saying, the second somebody gave me a compliment, I'd immediately start to feel embarrassed and therefore want to dismiss it as quickly as possible. Not because it wasn't they weren't being really kind, but I didn't like the focus. So it'd be like, well, it's only a £5 or something. And my friend calls it, I don't think it translates across to our audience outside of the UK, but here we've got a very cheap shop called Primark. And she calls it the Primark brush off. It's probably the same as a thrift store in America, where it's like, you just kind of like, you dismiss it. But she said, if you can remember, and this has really stuck in my mind and I try and remember it now. If you remember, when somebody gives you a compliment or gives you their opinion, imagine that they've just handed you the most delicate, the most beautiful, fragile glass ornament that they own. And you've put it in your hands. And the minute that you say you dismiss or push it away, it's like you've got the hands and did that with the ornament, which clearly would break it. And we'd never do that. We'd never be so thoughtless and unkind. But having that visual has really helped me. So I'll be honest, I'm still not great at it. I sometimes will go, thank you, and then I'll run the rest of the script in my head where I'm going, but it was really only £5 from Primark. But at least I've learned to stop saying it out loud and to keep it at the thank you, in recognition of the fact that they've given me a gift, and I should treat that with the respect it deserves.
That's a beautiful analogy that you just gave. I'll have to remember that one. I always think to myself, I wonder why they're lying. Why are they saying? It's all insecurity, right? It's all inferiority.
It's back to those bits, isn't it? And it's funny. I mean, back to that piece where we project out our view and then make it somebody else's. And then we can be frustrated with them, because how dare they think of that of us? They didn't even think it. We've done it and we've added it back to them. I remember an exercise I did many years ago, and I highly recommend it to people. And it was a coach of mine that got me to do it. And he said, you need to go and speak to friends, colleagues, and family members, people that you trust, will be really honest with you and say, as part of my self-development, I could really do with some honest feedback, because that's going to be what helps me to grow. So on that premise, I'd love for you to tell me 1 or 2 things that you admire about me or that you see as my strengths, and 1 or 2 places where I get in my own way. And when it came back, almost unanimously from all these different groups, I got from people, "You're brave and you're fearless." And I was like, what are you talking about? I live in fear every day. Fear I'm going to say something else stupid, fear I'm going to get things wrong, fear that I'm not going to be good enough, fear that I'm going to get found. It doesn't matter. I could be fearful about literally anything, because that's how I was living my life. And they turned around and they said, well, you have up sticks and moved across the country and outside of the country for jobs you didn't think you could definitely do, and in areas where you knew nobody else, so you were going to be on your own. And I was like, and that's brave and fearless. And that's interesting. I've spent all of that time telling myself that you all thought I was flighty and a little bit stupid. So the exact same experience, the exact same set of circumstances, but without asking the question, I had assumed all of these people thought I was flighty and a little bit stupid. They thought I was brave and fearless. Imagine how different my life became when I borrowed their labels instead of using my labels, because theirs were nicer. Theirs were much better than mine. And then you kind of can step into it. So I think it's that being passionately curious. And when we find ourselves telling ourselves something about why they're lying, why they're doing this, why would they lie? So not why are they lying, but why would they lie? Well, they wouldn't. They're our friends. Why would they? So they're not. So actually, that is that dawning moment that this isn't their opinion, that it's a lie. This is my opinion that it's a lie. So the piece that needs to be fixed is my opinion of me, not their opinion of me.
Hear, hear. I totally agree and understand. I just was having a conversation last night with someone about how hard I am on myself. And I know that you're hard on yourself as well. And I think what I would say, as I'm 10 years older than you, right, is we have to be kinder to ourselves, because someone gave me this analogy and I might have used it before, but if you think about the waves crashing up on the beach and there's a shell there, there's a rock there or something, and it keeps getting pummeled over and over and over again, eventually it's going to disintegrate, or its form's going to change, or it's going to crack into two, something like that. And that's what we do to ourselves. I know I'm extremely tough on myself. And now that my mom passed away in August, I'm completely and totally isolated, totally alone. So I have myself every day with the memories of my mom and dad here surrounding me. And I have to work really hard not to beat myself up, because I'm my worst critic. And it's not something I'm proud of, but it's really true, because I strive to be the best version of myself. So I feel like I have to break myself down in order to be better, which I don't think that makes any sense. But what are your thoughts?
Total sense. We do it all the time. We want to be perfect. We want to be, and a lot of it comes from how we saw perfection and love when we were growing up, and therefore I see it in my little girl. So we're so quick to find a label, and then because we've got the label, at least it makes sense. And she'll do it all the time. She's like, I'm not good at this, or I'm naughty. And it's like, you're not naughty. You made a naughty choice, but don't attach yourself to what you did. Because you made a naughty choice, but it's a choice. Beauty of choices is you can immediately make a better one. You might not have been Picasso on day one at school, but you're learning and you're evolving. And if you tell yourself you're not good at it, you won't be good at it. If you tell yourself you're learning it, just that change in our dialogue opens our mind up. And I think for me, one of the big things I've been trying to get really good at with myself, as like you, Dr. Jacqueline, I am my own worst critic. And I've said some things to myself that I would never dream of even thinking about another human being, because they're so mean, so cruel. And yet I do that to myself, and have done for a lot of years. And what I'm trying to do now is acknowledge the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the fact that, yeah, I might have got it wrong, but I've got a chance to get it right, because now I've learned that way doesn't work, so I can do something else. So almost trying to spin all of the negative self-talk on myself to, what is this teaching me? What can I learn? Because all of those are going to help me be the best version of me today. And that's all we can ever do, is be a better version of ourselves today than we were yesterday, a better version of myself now than I was a minute ago. And that the only way we get to be a better version of ourselves is if we acknowledge the things we got wrong. And once we can flip the switch and start to see those as blessings towards achieving our goal of being the very best version of me, because it's better than I just was, then that makes it easier for us to deal with some of that critical self-talk.
Tremendous. I completely agree with you. What about on the other ends? Because I'm sensing that you might be similar to me in this regard. When we actually have an authentic achievement and it's something we work towards, and then we acknowledge it for 5 minutes, an hour, then we're on to the next thing. Is that how you are? Because that's definitely how I am.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I'm only laughing because I have got somebody who's come in to help me with my social media, because I got too busy and wanted to focus on the things where I know I can add value to people, which is more around the coaching and less about me trying to work out how to do captions on a video. It's not like that. And it was that dawning realization. She came back and she was like, how long have you been on USA Global TV? And I was like, oh, a couple of years, I think. And she went, have you told anybody? I don't really know. Then your TEDx, how many times did you post it? I went, once. And she was like, okay. And I saw in the background that you actually got to attend Woman of the Year a few years ago, and you're now part of the Woman of the Year alumni. And I was like, yeah. And she went, did you tell anybody? I went, I might have mentioned it at the time. And you sit there and are mortified. And she was like, why have you not told people these things? These are all amazing achievements. I'm like, well, I just didn't want to be big-headed or come across as showy. And I think sometimes in our fear of being showy and big-headed and full of ourselves, we can actually swing way too far the other end to so that nobody actually knows. And I asked myself, why is it important that they do know? And actually, the only reason why it's important that they do know is it might give them the confidence to reach out and realize that you can help them with something. And if you don't share that, you're not giving them the chance to see actually how you can help, what you can do, where you can get it from. So it's that flip. But no, I think we're kindred spirits, Dr. Jacqueline, in the fact that I kind of like hide them in the cupboard. Go, I'll be really proud for 5 minutes at home with Scarlett and pudding. I will do a little cheers, and then we'll put it in a box and move on to the next thing. And I think we have to take those steps back and really remember them. I mean, there's something I do with my little girl, and I probably should do it with myself. So every year, the night before her birthday, we have a memory box that we put things in all the way through the year. And then the night before her birthday, we sit and we go through the memory box for the year, and we remember the things that we put in and what we did. And then we work out which ones of those we really want to keep, which ones of those are the most important memories, because they make us feel good. They remind us of something that we were proud of or grateful for, or a memory that clearly we made. And then we put them in an envelope. I'm probably the most organized person in the world. Put them in these massive storage envelopes, all of which are labeled up with the date and the year, therefore, worth of memories that they are, so that when she's older, I'll be able to give her all of those, and she'll be able to relive them again and see those moments, because I want to teach her that actually it's not one and done. You don't do it and that's it, and then it goes in a box, because that's what I'm learning to unpick about my own life. It's actually you take it back out and you revisit it, because the change in your energy, the change in how you feel, allows you to go on and do even better things in the future.
Once again, I'm just applauding you. Everything that you say is so much value. And something I think that's really important also is that I know that you've had challenges to deal with in your life. I've had challenges to deal with. And sometimes we let those things and the things that people have said about us in the past cloud our vision and our ability to take ownership of the great and wonderful things that we have accomplished. So when you think about it, you are a television show host. You have been doing this for 2 years. You do have a following that is something that you should be proud of. And we say proud, not in an ego way, but from a heart centric way, because you are providing education, hope, and inspiration to people around the world. TEDx, how many people get to be on a TEDx stage? And I know you've shared with us what that journey was like, even to the moment when you were on the stage presenting. You're also a world class author that you don't talk about that as much. And there's so many things that you've accomplished. And yet, what do we end up doing? We focus on the thing that we didn't get exactly perfectly right. And then that negates all of the good that we've put out there. That's what we do in our head. And then it just seems to become this pattern. I'm speaking for myself. It's a pattern of behavior that, oh, that's not good enough. Even though I did good over here, I've still got this little boulder over here that's weighing me down.
It's so true. And I think, for me, one of the things is it's do to yourself as you do to others. I think that's the piece I'm trying to learn at the moment. Because if I were faced with somebody else, like yourself, Dr. Jacqueline, who was doing those things, where it's like, I wish you could just see the value that you bring. You're on here all the time, inspiring us, connecting us with people that can educate us, giving us all of that huge wealth of knowledge to enable us to go on and be the best version of ourselves. And I know you don't hear that when you're saying it to yourself, but I now try and put myself in somebody else's shoes and go, okay, if this was somebody I was coaching, I would tell them that actually, unless they acknowledge the things that they're good at, as much as they acknowledge the things that they're not good at yet, they're actually going to end up losing their strengths. Because I've seen it so many times over the years where somebody didn't realize it was a strength, so they stopped doing it because they were instead so busy focused over here on the thing that they didn't know how to do. And it meant that they went backwards and didn't go forward. So I think we've got to try and look at things in balance, not from an egotistical point of view, from a heartfelt point of view that says, okay, if I genuinely want to be self-aware, that includes not only looking at the things that I'm not good at, it includes looking at the things that I am good at and owning both of those. And I think, I can't remember whose quote it is, I really need to remember and bring it back, but someone said, and it really resonates with me at the minute, it's not our darkness that scares us, it's our light. It's that we might actually be good at something, and that feels a bit egotistical, and we're told that that's wrong. But I think we've got to get that back into balance that says it's okay to say I'm good at these things, and also say, and I'm not good at these things, because then I'm being genuinely self-aware, and then I can move forward.
Yes. Here. I completely agree. And I want to add something onto that, which I hope our audience will take away a lot of these key points that we're bringing up, because I'm learning so much from you, Kim-adele. And I think it's at this stage of my life, I'm no longer looking for external validation. And I'll just explain something about that. I was in corporate till 2020 and left. I'm doing things I never did before in my life. And now we've got this television platform where we have 41 different shows from around the world, 50 some people on our team. And I've written 9 books that I have them. They're all here. I bought little stands so that I could see them on the desk. There's nobody here. It's just me. But it's a reminder that I can do things when I get out of my comfort zone, and I don't need applause. I don't need people going, hey, wow. No, I don't need that. But I did need it. I needed it for a long time, and it held me back. So I hope that one takeaway people can have from this in terms of hope and inspiration is the only cheerleader you need is you. You don't need anyone else. And when you put your value and your worth in somebody else's hands, that hand can get slapped and you can fall right down. And so we have to pick ourselves up by believing in who we are and the greatness that we have within.
That is so eloquently put. And I think, for me, the big learn that I had is, until you can acknowledge yourself for the things you're good at and the things you're not good at, It doesn't matter how many external accolades you get, you still won't feel good, because they'll be momentary, because you don't believe it's real. So you've got to do that inner work. You've got to get to that place where you're comfortable with who you are. And therefore, to your point, Dr. Duffy, you've done amazing things. Like, I'm so grateful that my two little special people are in one of your books, which is awesome. But it's that piece going, I went out of my comfort zone. I did something that I'm proud of, and it's having an impact on the world. But actually, I'm able to, I'm playing you at the moment, I'm able to be proud of myself for pushing myself through my comfort zone and achieving something that I wanted to achieve.
And that's what this is all about, authentic achievements and the quest and the journey. And so that's something else I want people to take away, which is that it is a journey. Many times we want things to happen overnight. And I'll give an example, because we have many shows about this: losing weight. Well, you didn't put the weight on in a day, in an hour. You put it on over time. I'm saying you collectively, me, you, the world, whomever. And yet we want it off right away. We want everything to happen immediately. Take a pill, go out and run a marathon when we don't even have any exercise routines. And we set ourselves up to fail. So along the journey, Kim-adele, what are some pointers that you can leave our audience with about how to take it from a one and done to enjoying the process of the journey to authentic achievements?
Oh, great question, because you're right, it is a journey. And you know, for me, it's about the best journey. So we've all been on those journeys, haven't we, where I just wish I was there. I just wish it'd end now, because I'm stuck in this traffic. And I used to be horrendous at that. And I would constantly be there. Now I take the moment when I hit traffic or I hit something else to go, I'm being granted the gift of pause. There's nothing else I can do. I've got the gift of pause. So I'm going to take that moment to pause and reflect on what's happening right around me immediately, but equally what's happening for me in my world at the moment. And I think taking those moments, and you've got to acknowledge the small wins, because if not, the journey's just too hard. And if you think about, if I were to climb Everest, I mean, that would be back to, run a marathon, and you've not exercised ever. So I'm not going to do it. But if I were to climb Everest, when you look at it, they've got camps along the way, and those camps are there for a number of reasons. But one of them is to be able to see how far you've come, to be able to give you the momentum to keep going on your journey. So I think for me, on my piece, it's been acknowledging the small wins when I've got them, being accountable for the things that haven't gone well, but instead of catastrophizing those and going, oh, I had my weight loss journey is one of these. I had a biscuit. Well, that's it. That's me done that's me done now. The diet's over. I'll start again tomorrow. It's like, no, you've had one. You have a choice in this moment to decide, does that one become the packet, or does that one become, yeah, well, I enjoyed it, and now I'm going to get back on. So I think for me, it's about making those conscious choices and being kind to yourself with whichever one of those it is. It might be a day where, one day it really does need to become the packet. But if that happens every day, you're never going to move forward. And therefore, you've got to be able to give yourself that balance. I try at the end of every day to kind of go through, just takes a couple of minutes. So what are the 3 things that I learned today? And that doesn't necessarily mean to say that I got them all wrong. It might be, I worried about this and for the whole of yesterday, and now that I've done it, it actually went better than I thought, and I feel really proud of myself having done it. So, but just taking those, what are my 3 learns? What 3 things am I grateful for that have happened in the day? And then in that balance with the things that I'm grateful for and the things that I've learned, what do I want my focus to be tomorrow? And it just really allows me to be present with what's going on. And again, if I get myself in moments of real self-doubt, forgive me, Pudding's clearly got something to say about this. If I find myself in those moments of self-doubt, it's being able to flick back through those. And what you see is that whilst you might be telling yourself that it's always going wrong, you'll see that the reality is it goes right more often than it goes wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all our perspective. What I wanted to add to that is going through a number of photographs, going through the house and some of my mom's things and looking at pictures over time and thinking, you know what, I looked halfway decent then. But remembering when the picture was taken, how horrible I thought that I looked,
Mm.
picture after picture, year after year. And I said to myself, this was a couple weeks ago, I said, really, when are you going to start liking yourself? Because you look back and you know what, I didn't look so bad in that picture, or I looked halfway decent in that picture, or I liked the way my hair was, but how much I didn't like whatever it was at the time. So I think it's that perspective of being able to look at yourself with a different set of eyes. And that is what you're doing with taking yourself down this journey where you're not wearing makeup and you are working out and you're letting your hair, you're just being you, you're doing you. And during that time, you're reflecting. And I am reflecting as well in different ways. And I think that's what's really important instead of rushing and constantly not wanting to look at who we are, but taking the time to say, you know what, this is who I am. And I do like myself.
Absolutely. I love that. And one of the things that I sometimes try, because I do the same, I look back and go, oh, I looked all right in that picture. My hair looked okay. And now I try and tell myself when I'm going, oh, Kim, you look an absolute state. I go, you look an absolute state in your head today. And yet I guarantee in 5 years' time, this will be a picture that you wished you looked like still. So I think it is those moments, isn't it, of just being present and being kind to ourselves. We're doing the best that we can do in any given moment and any given situation. And that doesn't mean say we'll always get it right. But when we get it wrong, we can just learn from that and try again. And I think if we could demonstrate the same care to ourselves as we do to everybody else that we care about, imagine our potential.
Quest for Greatness, the authentic achievement journey with Kim-adele Randall. Thank you so much, Kim-adele. I think we may have a picture somewhere of the latest book. Here it is. Lady L listens in the Baobab National Game Park, and tell us about the two animal characters who represent two of your loved ones.
I will do. So the first, and it's representing my little girl, Scarlett, who everybody who knows me, she's my North Star. And it's the little lion at the front called Lenny. And that's because he's her little best friend of stuffed animals. And then the one at the back is the giraffe, and that represents Pudding, my little dog, who clearly you all heard earlier today, wanting to join in with his 5-penneth on how we can actually go for the quest for greatness. And that's he's modeled on Riff Raff the giraffe, which is one of another of Scarlett's favorite toys.
So adorable. And in this book, Riff Raff and Lenny, as well as the other animal characters, learn how to communicate more effectively as Lady Ella, the ladybug there. She's the listening mentor, and she flies to various places around the world, helping animals learn how to communicate. So you can pick up the book over on Amazon, and Kim-adele, it's the latest and greatest version of the book. So it's
I love it. And I think, listening is such an important skill because we're not very good at it. We've stopped listening to understand. We listen to interject. We've got so uncomfortable with silence. And we know that when someone stops talking, someone else is going to have to start, that you struggle. So I think it's amazing that you're using the books to teach children, which is fab.
Thank you. You know what? I actually have the book here. I forgot about that. I just want to take a quick moment because I just think it's so, here's the book cover itself, but inside, the book is dedicated to my great niece, Ella, and there she is. And what's been really cool is to watch how she's changed from the first book, which I have here, to the 5th book. Here she is, the first book.
Oh, bless her.
She's growing up so quickly. So the books have been a labor of love. And I thank you, Kim-adele, for being part of this amazing journey.
No, I'm so super grateful to be part of it. I think, it's one of the things that I'm actually just started a book myself, ready for Scarlett's birthday, which is teaching them all the things that we learn now as adults about mastering our mindset and understanding where it goes. And I said, why do we not teach children Why do we wait until they're adults? They have to unpick all the damage that we've done. So watch this space, but I'm going to create, I've written most of it, but a book trying to share some of the stuff we've learned as adults on how we fix this, and share it for children.
Please do come on the Corner Bookstore and Books, Blogs, and Poetry and share the exciting news when you're finished with it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Kim-adele Randall, we are at the end of our show for today. How can people reach out to you, and who would you like to connect? And by the way, because you have your Instagram there, let me take this down. I wasn't even connected with you on Instagram. I went over, now I'm connected to you. So thank you for putting that there, Kim-adele 10. What's a great way for people to reach out?
Oh, bless you. No, and you're right. I think sometimes we forget these things, don't we? So I would love to hear more about other people's authentic achievements. And if you're stuck on your journey to authenticity, get in touch and see how I can help. You can either reach me directly at Kim-adele@AuthenticAchievements.com. You can get me on the details that are up on the screen, or you can head over to AuthenticAchievements.com and find out what's going on there. And if it's useful to you, we have a newsletter and regular blogs where we're trying to share actionable insights and advice to help people find their authentic achievement.
And people can also reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, on all social media, I'm either Kim-adele Randall or Kim-adele 10, which is Instagram and Twitter.
Wonderful. And we'll see you on World Jenny's Day, as you're going to be co-hosting as well. That's coming up right around the corner next week, Monday and Tuesday. So look for more details about that tremendous event. Thank you, Kim-adele. We look forward to having you back next month and also seeing you next week.
I look forward to it. And in the interim, have a lovely month, everybody. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you'd like to be a guest on this show or any of our other shows, please do go over to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, and you can go ahead and book your session. As we close out today, I just want to make a couple of comments. We do have one of our team members, Zane Carruth, who has her own show here, which I'll share that show graphic in just a moment. But if you're in the Houston, Texas area, on October the 14th, which happens to be a Saturday, please consider going over to Neiman Marcus, meeting Zane, who will be doing a book signing. And she is part of the Books to Bed and World's First Tooth Fairy Ever pajamas and book set combination. Now, if you're not able to go there in person, you can do what I've done. You can email RSVP, all initials all together, Houston, RSVP Houston at NeimanMarcus.com. And you can just put in the subject line that you're interested in the pajamas and book set for Zane Carruth and tell them the size that you need, and they will email you back. So thank you again for supporting Zane and her work. I'm very proud of her. She actually got that engagement, that event on her own without a publicist. She reached out and made the connection, and now that's where she's going to be October 14th. Her show is Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living. It was just on last night, Thursday night. So you can go over to our YouTube channel, again, USA Global TV and Radio. You can look for Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, and you can find out more about Zane's show. That was fabulous. I interviewed her about her work as a philanthropist. Let's take a look at her sponsorship, and then we'll be back with the power of etiquette and manners. Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the Tooth Fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, A Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.